States now to Portland, Oregon, and DeVon Pouncey can join us. He is a journalist and the manager of the Street Roots Vendor Program. Thanks so much for being with us, Devon. I mean, just let me get your perspective. We've spoken before, but now it's been an entire month. We've seen this movement spread worldwide. Do you think ultimately you will see the changes in the structures and the institutions that you want to see to try to first end systemic racism and bring down police use of excessive force and brutality in the United States?
Absolutely. Well, the people here in Portland, Oregon are still holding up strong in regards to protesting and being on the streets and really challenging the local politicians here. But we have already seen some defunding take place here in Portland, Oregon, as around $15 million was defunded in the last budget hearing, which took place last week. And in particular, one of the more notable new responses will be Portland Street Response, where you'll actually have a medic and a peer support specialist that will go out and attend to certain mental health crises that are taking place out on the streets in certain neighborhoods in the city. So it was a bit of a significant increase, as Portland Street Response was only funded with $500,000 last year, and that increased from $500,000 to $4.8 million after that $15 million was defunded from the Portland Police Bureau for the 2020-21 budget.
Okay, so progress there. But let me ask you about this separate movement to start removing statues and changing the branding that is so reminiscent of the days of segregation and the racism that was actually legal during a long period of time in the United States. Do you think seeing those symbols and statues removed, taken out of the general landscape, is what's needed to really change the culture that needs to change in the U.S., or are these just symbolic efforts that will ultimately amount to little in what needs to be done?
Well, yeah, I think, as you mentioned, symbolism has meant a lot when it comes to, certain activism here in this country in regards to, even if you look at sport, a lot of people are kind of symbolizing Colin Kaepernick taking a knee in the NFL and, Officer Chauvin having his knee in George Floyd's neck. So I think symbolism has spoken volumes in a lot of ways here in America when it comes to different forms of activism. So I think there's just an entire culture that folks want to change in regards to the, certain things in the history of this country. And although I think the real issue that needs to be tackled is more so the defunding of the police and finding alternative options in regards to first responders that aren't police, especially in areas that they're not particularly trained in. But I do think that a lot of people here in the United States and even in Portland, Oregon, where we're having some statues taken down, people just want to change the culture of things, and people are willing to do just about anything to make sure that that culture is changed and that culture is shifted. So we truly believe that we're making progress here in this country during these times in particular.
Devon, are you getting a feeling for how meaningful the change will be, though, especially in the lead up to this presidential election to come in November? I mean, these issues will prove divisive. You have a leader that's already divisive and will play to a pretty right-wing base. Are you looking forward to this vote, or do you think we could see the United States of America divide even further?
I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to this vote. And, we're certainly in divisive times right now where it's almost as if you have to pick a side. Either, you're against police brutality, you're against systemic oppression, or you aren't. I'm one to think that it's always going to be a lifetime fight. I think we can see some changes in our lifetime, and I think some changes won't happen as rapid, and we may not see them in our lifetime. So certainly, this election year is very important because the last 4 years have been very divisive in our country, being that we do have a leader that is willing to kind of spew out some divisive rhetoric. So I do think we're definitely in an important time, and the timing really couldn't have been more important, being that a lot of these events that are happening this year are leading up to an election in November. So, that's just kind of where we are right now. But I do think, this is going to be lifelong work for many of us out here, and we have to be prepared to commit to this work for the rest of our lives.
Okay. DeVon Pouncey joining us there from Portland. Thank you so much for your time.